Hey Sugar Geeks, Liz here. Have you ever wanted to know how to make those really trendy hot chocolate cocoa bombs? They're super fun, and I'm gonna show you how to make them. Coming up next on the Sugar Geek Show. Okay, so to make our hot chocolate cocoa bombs, the first thing we need to do is get our chocolate ready. So we're gonna temper our chocolate, but don't freak out. If you don't know what tempering is and you don't think you need to do it, it's so easy. It only takes 5 minutes. So what we want to do is take our high quality chocolate. This is Berry Callebaut. I get this at the bulk section at Winco. So if you have a Winco, super cheap there. You can also use like the Guittard or Cocoa Berry wafers, but just make sure you chop them super fine. That's really important. What you don't want to use necessarily is any chocolate that doesn't taste very good. So a lot of people will be like, hey Liz, can I use candy melts? You can, but candy melts don't really taste that great. They're mostly waxy. So even if all you can get access to is like a candy bar, Lindt makes a really good high quality chocolate bar and you can just chop that up. We're using about 24 ounces of chocolate. That's a lot of chocolate bars though. So it would be cheaper to buy it in kind of bulk. So what is tempering and why is it important? Well, if you want to learn all about how to temper chocolate with way more information you probably could ever ask for, you can check out this video right here. But the gist of it is, when chocolate is tempered correctly, it snaps when you bite into it. It's got that crack, you know, when you bite into a piece of chocolate. And when it's not tempered correctly, it's very soft. It wants to kind of fall over. And it's all has to do with the crystal structure of the cocoa butter that's in the chocolate. I know I've lost you already, but whenever you melt chocolate, what you do is you break that crystal structure. And to temper the traditional way, normally you have to like heat it to a certain temperature, you have to add back in more tempered chocolate, agitate it, cool it. It's a very long process. But what we're gonna do is we're gonna melt our chocolate without breaking the temper. So literally 5 minutes. And the way we do that is we shave the chocolate super thin so that the heat can just melt it really easily. And we're not gonna let the chocolate get above 90 degrees because that, my friend, is when those crystals go kaput. So if we stay under 90 degrees, we are okay. If you haven't tempered your chocolate correctly, you'll know because it won't come out of the mold. So you might find that chopping the chocolate is a little bit challenging. So let's talk a little bit about how to actually do that. I'm going to put my hand here on the tip of it, right here, and then I'm going to push down with this hand. This helps stabilize the knife so it's not going to go back and forth. Push straight down. It's like paper cutting. Of course, you would never curl your fingers under. We would never do that. I'm going to keep rotating my chocolate to just make sure that I have a nice solid base to work on. I have tried to put this in like a food processor, and what I find is that it melts the chocolate instead of chopping it. You could even grate it, but to be honest, that would take a really long time. And then I'm just going to put this into a glass bowl or a silicone bowl, but I just moved and I can't find mine, so we're using glass. Okay, so now we're going to gently melt this chocolate in the microwave, but I want to just warn you ahead of time. There should be no water on anything. No water on your spatula, no water in your bowl, no water on the countertop. Water is the enemy of tempering chocolate, and you will know if there's water in there because suddenly it'll go from melting to a solid rock, and that's called seizing. So if you have to wash anything, make sure you washed it, you dried it with a paper towel, no water anywhere. So we're going to put this in the microwave for 30 seconds. Don't you dare put it in for any more than that. You'll be sorry. We're going to melt very gently. My microwave is 1,000 watts. So if your microwave is 500 watts, I would still say only 30 seconds. If it's hot, if it's more than 1,000 watts, maybe do 15. So no more than 30 seconds the first time. Microwaves do not heat things evenly. It's going to heat the outside of the chocolate first and the inside's going to be cold. So we want to make sure we never go over 90 degrees. So 30 seconds, stir, distribute the heat, and then we're going to go 15 seconds, 15 seconds, 15 seconds, never being above 90 degrees. If you've watched my tempering chocolate video, you will know that I have this handy dandy thermometer spatula. Tempering spatula. So it has a thermometer built in, so I know exactly how hot my chocolate is at all times. But that's before I got this guy, which is an infrared heat gun, and this is from Thermoworks, and I'll put my affiliate link down underneath the video in the description if you're interested in it. But so awesome. I've been using it for oil. I've been using it to check the temp of my sugar when I'm making caramel, and you'll also be able to check the temp of your chocolate without getting anything dirty. That's what I love, because chocolate likes to get on everything. So you can just check the temperature, 76 degrees. And we're gonna rotate. I can feel that the bowl is just starting to get warm, and you're like, this isn't doing anything. It just looks completely unmelted, but look, it's melting. So what I'm just trying to do is take the chocolate that was around the outside edge and bring it to the middle. And then put this in the same spot every single time, because it's about to get real dirty. 15. Can you temper chocolate without a thermometer? I would not recommend that. Unless you're like an advanced pastry chef and you know like how to temper chocolate so well that you can do it without a thermometer, go, why make it so hard for yourself? You don't have to use a thermometer spatula. You could just use like a regular meat thermometer, but you have to have something that's going to tell you how hot the chocolate is, because it's literally a difference between like a degree between perfectly tempered and you ruined it. So hotter than 88 because it's just too thick, but no hotter than 90. Yeah, chocolate is very messy. So we try really hard to always be cleaning the bowl so that you don't get a big buildup around the rim. And always wipe your spatula off in the same spot and clean it so that this part of the bowl is always clean. Do I follow that all the time? Okay, so that's 2 minutes there, but it's not melted yet. So the more chocolate you have, the longer it's gonna take. Oh, look at that, suddenly. Okay, so mine's at 91 degrees, and you'd be like, oh my gosh, I ruined it. But I have a few unmelted bits of chocolate in here still, and that's great actually, because that means that those unmelted bits are tempered, and they are going to spread their tempered crystals into the untempered chocolate, and it will temper itself. But let's say you were at 92 or 93 or 94 and you're like, shoot, now what do I do? Well, you want to take however much chocolate you have, about 1/3 of that total weight, chop it down really fine, super fine, add it back in, and that will temper your melted chocolate. And that's actually how you just straight up temper chocolate anyways. So it's kind of like, well, we try to do it the easy way. So you can see kind of all those little bits in there that are unmelted. So I'm literally just going to keep stirring this until all those bits are melted. If you're using candy melts or chocolate chips, it's just not going to melt this way. Those are meant to kind of be thicker, and the wax just never really wants to be super liquidy. So you're better off just using a better quality of chocolate, and it will end up being easier for you. Depends on just how many swear words you want to say. For white chocolate and milk chocolate, you're not supposed to go above 87 degrees, which also makes it harder to temper. So you can definitely use milk chocolate or white chocolate, but to me, semi-sweet is going to be the easiest. And hello, it's a hot chocolate bomb. You want that intense chocolate flavor. Chocolate is hard. It's really, really important to follow the science. And, I mean, I like science, but some people are just like, oh, just melt it, it'll be fine. It will not be fine. Those chocolates will not come out of the mold if you do not temper properly, and then it is a pain to wash it out, and you'll just waste all of the chocolate. We put the geek in Sugar Geek around here. We like our science. Okay, I think that's basically it. I'm gonna take some of this chocolate and I'm going to put it on a piece of paper, and I'm gonna put it into the fridge for 5 minutes to make sure that it is tempered properly, because we don't want to waste this chocolate if it's not tempered properly by putting it into the mold. All right, here's our chocolate from the fridge. Yes, satisfying. That's a good snap. It's also really shiny on top. It doesn't have any cloudy residue. Perfect. If your chocolate falls below 88, it's going to start getting thick and you're going to want to rewarm it. Never for more than 10 seconds, 5 to 10 seconds, and it'll bring it back to that 90 degrees. Let's talk about molds. These are silicone sphere molds. They're 2.5 inches. You can get them off of Amazon. Very inexpensive and kind of foolproof. So this is what you would do if you're just super intimidated about the tempering process, or even if you want to use candy melts, you don't care what they taste like, you just want them to look cool, you can use candy melts on these. The downside is it's a little bit more time consuming because we have to brush the chocolate into every single mold and then do a second layer. And when they come out of the mold, slightly less shiny, but I mean, we're gonna be putting them in hot cocoa anyway. So this is the foolproof way of making your cocoa bombs. These acrylic molds, a little bit more expensive. I'll put the link in the blog post if you wanna get this exact one. Also 2.5 inches. And these are a little bit trickier to use. You have to have perfectly tempered chocolate to use this or it will not come out. You can also use those like plastic two-piece ornaments, those Christmas ornaments that you might see at Christmas time. You can use those. They have to be small enough to fit in a mug though. So to me, they're a little bit too big. So if you can find some that are about 2 inches, 2 to 3 inches, that's gonna be perfect. Another cardinal rule of working with chocolate is your molds must be spotless. Any amount of residue from water or old chocolate is going to make those puppies stick. So you always wanna take a nice clean paper towel and just get those super clean. It'll also make the shine nicer. Okay, so then we're gonna take a little bit of chocolate, put it in there like so. Try not to let the spoon fall into the bowl. And we're just gonna use any kind of brush and just brush that around. Try and make sure that the chocolate is kind of like even thickness. Like it tends to kind of lump up down around the bottom. That's the first coat. Now just 5 more times. So I'm gonna go put this into the fridge for 5 minutes and then do the second coat. So that's all set up. We're gonna put our second coat in. The second coat, I focus most, like obviously you're gonna coat the whole thing, but I really try and focus on kind of building up that edge. Because when you put these two pieces together, if the edge is too thin, it's gonna not wanna seal together. It's gonna be frustrating, and I don't want you to be frustrated. Okay, back into the fridge for 5 more minutes. Okie dokie. Time to level up. 85. Okie dokie. Let's talk about acrylic molds. So when we're using our acrylic mold, usually it tends to be kind of colder in the room than 89, 90 degrees. So if you put the chocolate straight in this mold, it's going to want to seize up immediately and you're not going to have any time to do anything. So if you have a hair dryer or a heat gun, we want to just kind of warm this up a touch. You don't want it to be hot. We don't want to untemper our chocolate. I did that once. Oh, and if you haven't already taken the paper towel to this mold, just like we did the silicone molds, you want to do that. So I'm going to pour this. Make sure everything's all full up to the top. I'm going to tap it to get the air bubbles out. All right, and then this could get messy, but I don't care. It doesn't matter. We're going to turn it upside down back into here, and we're going to tap it. Go this way. Okay. Then I'm going to take my bench scraper, scrape off the excess, and then immediately we're going to turn it upside down onto a piece of parchment paper. You see how I said to just stick to the easy one? It's a lot of steps to remember. So now we want to let this sit at room temperature until you can lift it up and it's almost fully hardened, but not rock hard. Usually about 5 or 10 minutes, depending on how cold your room is. I'd say it's ready enough. It's a little bit soft, slightly thick, but sorry. Now I'm going to scrape off the extra chocolate one more time. And then I'm gonna put this into the freezer for 5 minutes. Okay, now I'm putting on some gloves to help minimize any fingerprints. Watch this. Ooh, pretty. But they just come out super easy. And still pretty shiny, I would say. Take some of my chocolate, put it into a piping bag. So I'm just gonna take this mold, turn it over, and use it as a little base for building, so that they don't roll away. And I'm gonna fill this, I'd say like 3/4 of the way with hot chocolate mix. And I got this hot chocolate that had like mini marshmallows already in it, so I think they're kind of adorable. So I put some of those in there. So cute. And then I have a few regular marshmallows. Put those in there. I mean, marshmallows are the best part in my opinion. And I'm gonna take my chocolate and just kind of do a nice generous layer all the way around that edge. Take the lid, put it on top like so. And this, you carefully pick it up. And then we're just gonna roll this into the sprinkles. And that hides that kind of rough edge and also adds decoration. Voila. You did it. I'm so proud of you. Looks like a tiny little Saturn. I have my other chocolates out of the freezer. First thing I do is I look underneath because you'll be able to see if the chocolate is stuck anywhere. So there's just a couple of spots where it hasn't completely pulled away. So one little spot is normal, but if it was like completely stuck, that's a tempering problem. So now is the fun part. Ta-da! That's right. That's the only reason you would temper this way, is just to have this feeling. I mean, look how shiny those are. Those are beautiful. All right, and now we just fill those up exactly the same way. So I'm just gonna kind of give it a little ziggle zaggle. And you could do any kind of design around the outside that you wanted to. Okay, time to try it out. Got to heat up some milk. You could just use water. The instructions for the hot cocoa mix say water, or for a richer taste, use milk. I mean, so we want to heat this milk to about 190. You don't want to boil it, just until it's steaming. And then take it off the heat right before it starts to boil. All right, time to test these babies out. Into the cup. I would recommend using a larger coffee cup, not one of those teeny tiny ones. Some super hot milk. And this is kind of where the magic happens. Oh! Look at that. It's magic. How fun! It worked! Oh, it looks so cute! Oh my goodness. Cheers. Yeah. Oh yeah, that hits the spot. Looking forward to your new season, yeah? You gonna tell me your name? It can't just be Baby Yoda, that's weird. You're just gonna keep it that way? Okay. It's fine, it's fine. Baby Yoda's good, it's good. So that's it, guys. That is how you make your very own hot chocolate cocoa bombs. Hopefully you enjoyed this tutorial. Stay tuned for more super fun cakes, cookies, and candies coming up in future weeks. Check out this one right here. That's a good one. You know you want to watch it. This is so freaking good.